Welcome to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with Rebecca Hall Gruyter. In our program each week, we provide the tools, ideas, and encouragement to help you move ahead on your journey, becoming a more powerful and impactful woman in your own life. Now here's your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day. I'm excited to be connecting in with you in December. Can you believe it's December already? My goodness, the holidays are upon us, and I have found there's this acceleration of things that are happening. Sometimes we're all trying to get things done before a specific holiday and time frame and that sort of thing, or before the end of the year. And I'm finding it important to remember to be mindful, to take those pauses and breaths. Just 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes can make such a difference, so that the day isn't running me or it just passes by. I get to engage in it mindfully and purposely. I get to choose how I show up. And so I'm just thrilled and honored you are all choosing to join us today and to be present. And I want to encourage you to be ready to receive, really choosing to stop the doing for a moment. This is a time for you to be filled to overflowing, to be poured into and supported. And I'm honored, especially during this season, to connect in with you. And we're going to be focused on looking at how do we find mindfulness and magic in this season and throughout our lives. And how does purposefulness and success, how do those things all tie together so that we can continue to find magic, be present, be purposeful, and move forward those things that matter to us most in perhaps a magical and mindful way? How do we do that? What are some ways that we can choose to be present, to fully bring forward all of who we are while we're choosing to be aware and present in how we're showing up in the world, how we're looking at things even? And I think sometime in this season with the hustle and the bustle and all, we start to see beautiful lights and cards and sparkles and all kinds of things that are shiny and kind of magical looking we can see, but we don't always feel that in our day-to-day life and in our business. Sometimes there's this disconnect. So today, as we're looking at this mindfulness and success and purposefulness and magic and weaving that all together, I want you to really listen for ways to support you in being present, in perhaps finding that magic, not from somewhere outside of you, but within you, that you can lean into, you can tap into. And what's beautiful about that is then you can bring it into the new year and beyond. It's not just for this season. You get to use that on an ongoing basis. So I'm thrilled and excited to have you joining us. I'm looking forward to the amazing wisdom and insight and experience our guests are going to share with us today. And to set the stage, I wanted to read a poem, and this is talking about a little bit of how are we choosing to look at things? Are we looking? How are we looking at things? How are we perceiving things? Where are we choosing to look from, and how? So the poem is by Sam Yao, and if you want to learn more about Sam and his poetry, you can go to samyaopoetry.com, samyaopoetry.com, and this poem is titled See with the Eyes of Our Heart. An angel visits me in a dream and says, "Come, I will show you faces." A homeless veteran is curled up on a street corner, and he relives his battles, and comrades fall around him. Flashbacks come one after the other like beads on a string. He morphs into my son, who suffered from PTSD for years and took his life at 27. My eyes swell with teary love for him. The girl I was infatuated with when I was shy, 15 years old, wanders down the aisle of a grocery store. I never had the courage to tell her how I felt. Tenderness ripples across the pond of my heart. fresh as the first time I laid eyes upon her. A child chases swirling clouds along a hill's ridge. Her face lights up with the sight of a heart-shaped rock. Brilliant red chameleons fill her with wonder. Pine trees aglow with a fondness twinkle at her gleam in her eyes. A volunteer dries and clothes the shivering body of a fragile, blind, mute, and deaf old man with tender care at Mother Teresa's mission in Calcutta. He guides the stranger brother to the dining room, and the elder's face is transfigured into the luminous face of Jesus. A mother holds her baby's clothes in the laundry room. She shifts the soft terry against her face and imagines looking to the eyes of her baby in her arms. Love remembers, waits behind every eye, on every face, with every flower and every tree. Our deepest losses crack open our hearts. A heart connection impregnates life with meaning. Our world is held with the gaze between mother and child. The mundane is unmasked as sacred. Divinity is all around. And as I read this poem, I really thought, how are we looking? Are we looking deeper? Are we paying attention to what's around us? Are we allowing that to speak to our heart, to give us messages? If we have experienced loss this year, with so many people have, are we allowing that to open our heart further, to go deeper, to truly connect? I think that's some of the mindfulness, the magic that we can touch into is true connection, truly seeing each other, really opening our hearts to each other, and letting the realness, the depth, the connections speak to us, and being open to that. And as we're choosing to be mindful and listening to what we're seeing, listening to what's laying on our heart, I think there's great love and wisdom for us. So I want to encourage us to let's just take a moment, breathe in. Beautiful. Become present. Let's take a moment to lay both our hands on their heart, just being really present and seeing as you close your eyes, continue to breathe in. Let's reflect on choosing to be present to ourselves, to others, and in this quietness, what is it you need today to encourage you, to support you in the magic and the mindfulness of the season? How can that support you in bringing forward those things that you are called to bring forward, to see, to be, to share? And in that space, what do you need that you are willing to receive? What will encourage and empower you on your journey? Bring some magic and sparkle into your heart, into your life. A memory, a reminder, an encouragement. Let's take a moment and listen. And let's take a breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Go ahead and open your eyes. Become fully present. And I encourage you to take a moment and write down what was laid on your heart. So often we get distracted by that next shiny thing or the next thing on our to-do list. And this is your time for you to be poured into and supported and encouraged and empowered. So let's really take to heart what was laid on our heart and write it down. Let's bring it forward. Keep it top of mind. And keep that paper and pen handy for notes as we continue our conversation. We're going to go around our virtual room here, and I'm going to ask each of our guests just to share when they took a moment to stop, pause, and listen what was laid on their heart. And with that, Charlotte, I would love for you to start. What was laid on your heart?
So for me, I love Sam's poetry, and for me that poem really brought forth this image of the deepness that's around us that we don't often see, right? We see surface, and to your point, we see glitz and glamour, but we don't see the deepness. So that's a challenge, I think, for me.
Oh, I love that. That reminder of looking for the depth, the meaning, too. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. How about you, Donny? What was laid on your heart?
Expectations. We got to focus and look for the good in everything and everyone.
I love that. What are we expecting of ourselves and others, and what are we choosing to see? Beautiful. I love that. Thank you. Well, listeners, we are getting ready to go to our first commercial break, and as we do that, I want to encourage you to take these 2 minutes for you to just continue to stay in this place of receiving and reflecting, and when we come back, we're going to lean into the amazing wisdom of our guests to support us in being present, being mindful. How does that tie into success? How do we bring forward the things that matter most? We'll look forward to continuing our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit facebook.com/Voice America.
Explore the poetry of Sam Yao. His book of poems, Soul's Journey, is a #1 international bestseller. Sam is a contemporary poet with a unique and highly relatable poetic style to convey the essence of spiritual truths for our time. Readers will find beauty, inspiration, and healing in his words. Get his book, Soul's Journey, today on Amazon.com or visit SamYaoPoetry.com. That's Sam, Y-A-U, Poetry.com.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. That's EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes. I always think it's amazing what a difference 2 minutes can make. Even a minute, when I remember to stop and pause and just breathe fully and deeply, clarity comes. I find my stress levels go down, and I'm able to be more present and hear and process more clearly. So I hope that you use these 2-minute moments that we've built throughout the show on purpose to support you. So you'll find there will be opportunities at the end of each segment to help you process and receive and really integrate all that serves you. So look forward to those, and I welcome you back. Excited to continue our conversation here, especially during this season. I think it's so important that we remember to connect in and have support and encouragement. So welcome. And we are going to take a moment and really have a beautiful conversation with Charlotte. I'm very excited to introduce her on a more formal level so you know a little bit more about her. Charlotte Allen is the CEO of Rebel Success for Leaders. She has over 20 years of experience, including working with craft foods and major brands. She is a best-selling author, national keynote speaker, and she works with organizations and leaders to bring forward successful, innovative, and organizational change. She is passionate about helping you be heard and seen and discover how to embrace others' uniquenesses too, to collaboratively bring things forward. Please lean in and warmly welcome the powerful and dynamic Charlotte Allen to the show. Welcome.
Thank you, Rebecca. I'm excited to be here.
I am thrilled to have you here. And I just, as I was doing that, welcome to the stage, my arms are raised, my face is smiling. I'm just excited to have you joining us again. And for the listeners that you're new to, I know they're in for a treat. And I'm looking forward to all that you have to share with us. And to start things off, I wanted to understand why. Why is it important to you personally that people are truly seeing that their uniquenesses are being brought forward and received collaboratively? Why is that important to you?
So I passionately feel that we each, when we hear the words, I'll use the example of my brand. When we hear the words rebel, we often think of, geez, that sounds kind of cool, right? We get that little grin that reminds us of something that we did. And then we also tend to get this impression of this person on a motorcycle with a leather jacket, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that my brand really identifies with that little smile that you get that is really almost something that you want to bring forward, that you want to develop. And at the end of the day, that is the part of you that needs to come out in the world. Mm-hmm. So when I think of the groups and the folks that I tend to work with, which are people in that STEM-related field, people who are deeply into their craft, their expertise, it is surprisingly hard how often they get an obstacle when they're trying to bring forth their uniqueness. And we so need it. We so need it from an organizational standpoint, from a human race standpoint. Every single person has something to bring forward that we all need to hear and see. So I feel like it's something that I can do to help understand how to do that, and then how do we all work within that uniqueness.
Beautiful. And I'm curious, in stepping into this work and wanting, do you have your own kind of rebel journey that helped you start to tap into your uniqueness?
My rebel journey started at a very young age, like most people's, right? I do have a pretty powerful rebel journey story, but it's longer than we have time for. On your show, Rebecca, we want to give Donny some time today. So what I will say is that I have always aligned with that part of myself, with that uniqueness that I have to offer. I have always stayed really close to it. It has been challenging for me to hit those obstacles, to see that not go forward, to, being told to shape it into a corporate culture, or being asked to be less than. And the process that I have gone through and will probably continue to go through for as long as I'm here on the planet has really been around how do I be bold and be balanced. So be bold by don't stop, be bold by go bigger than you think you need to, but be balanced in an understanding that the folks you need to share your uniqueness with aren't living you, right? They're not living in your skin. They need a little bit more balance as you bring that forward for them to truly understand where you're coming from. So something I've been growing after and something I'll continue to grow after.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that it's a journey. It's not just we have arrived. There's this ongoing growth in that. I love that. And how does this tie into, as a leader, kind of how do we give ourselves a gift? What is the best gift we can give ourselves during this season as we are exploring bringing forward those things that matter most? What would you advise or suggest the best gift is that we can give ourselves?
So the best gift to give yourself at this time of the year especially is be honest and true with where you are. So often and to your point about the beginning of the show and reflecting and the images that Sam's poem brought forth, be true to what you know about yourself. It's your time to reflect. It's your time to be mindful. It's your time to go deep within you. So be true to that. That is your best gift. If you boot past that too fast, if you try to cut the corners, if you try to say, I don't have the time, can't do it, I don't know what my word is, I don't know what my strategy is, I can't figure out next year, I can't even process this year, which a lot of us are probably saying, your best gift is to spend that time for yourself.
And even as you're saying that, I can see shoulders relaxing a little bit and okay, slow down a little bit, spend the time for you instead of rushing and pushing. I love that. And one of the things I wanted to tap into is we're talking about mindfulness. We're looking at bringing forward the things that matter most. We might be doing goal setting or reflecting on what worked, what didn't, what shifts do we want to make, that kind of thing. One of the things you have in your bio is a statistic that I thought was interesting. And it says that when organizations try to bring forward organizational change and innovation, 70% of these initiatives fail. And you are an expert in helping people be that 30% that succeeds. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about that. And as we are looking back and looking forward, what would you share about that to help us be in that 30% of moving the things forward successfully versus the 70% that didn't get the traction they were looking for?
Right. I'm really excited about this question. We as a human race have been doing organizational change, right? Change is part of who we are. It's what we do. Organizations do it. They grow, they morph, they do all sorts of things. And still, after what seems like a bazillion years, 70% of the time we fail. Doesn't that seem like what is that statistic, right? So why are organizations failing? And the predominant common theme in why organizations fail is that they get their heads in their spreadsheets, they get their heads in their models, they get their heads in their, timelines and their metrics, and they are not really focused on the aspects of their people within their organization or the aspects of their people that they're serving with either their product or their service, and how that is the most important thing, right? The spreadsheets and the timing and the models and the metrics are all essential. I'm not in any way saying you should get rid of any of that stuff. It's super important. You have to have it. But we also need to think about people-centered change. How are we affecting that change within our organizations, and how are we taking into account all of those people, all of their uniqueness, all of their ideas, all of their passions. And just this week, there were two other things that came up. Empathy is being talked as the biggest business trend for the upcoming years. How do we instill empathy in our leaders and our organizations? And then something else that's been around for a little while, a term that's called biomimicry that your listeners may not have heard of, but it's essentially how do we, as human beings, take our systems and mimic what nature does in a simple way. So how do we use things like ants or like bees who have such an amazing collaborative behavior, and how do we mimic that within an organization in a business setting, using empathy and affecting change in a people-centered way? Because none of that is about spreadsheets or models, right? It's all about people working together. So anyway, so I'm so fascinated about this. So how do I work with folks? I really take them down to their people. What is the obstacle within their culture, within their organization, within how they work amongst each other that is causing them pain, failure, money, time, all those things that are the bane of a business person in today's society that keep them up at night. Those are the things that we work on. Those are the things that we work on for their success.
Beautiful. And then by approaching it on that level and remembering the spreadsheets are important, but they're not all, then you're able to start to shift into that 30%, really bringing the change forward in a lasting way versus it not quite succeeding in moving forward in the way intended. So I love that. I think your work is powerful, and I love how deep it is for organizations as well as the leaders that you work with. So thank you for spending time with us today and sharing. A little bit later, I'll have you share your contact information so people can go deeper. We are getting ready to go to our next commercial break. And remember, listeners, that means these 2 minutes are for you, an opportunity to really take in some of what Charlotte has said, write down some thoughts and notes, and be present. And then when we come back, we'll be talking on a deeper level with Donny too. We're excited for the continuing conversation. So enjoy these 2 minutes.
Follow us on Twitter at VoiceAmericaTRN. Get the lowdown on guests, new shows, and your favorites. That's VoiceAmericaTRN.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message. It's time to serve, learn, change the world. Tune in each week for the power of young people to change the world. Hosted by NYLC's CEO, Amy Mewers. The program is a forum for both young people and the adults who love and support them. We make connections with others through stories of change, partnership, and new perspectives of issues facing the world today. Be sure to join us every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time and 3 p.m. Pacific Time, or anytime on demand on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. That's EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes and you had an opportunity to think about some of what Charlotte has shared with us and really taking that time to go deeper and look at these things beyond the spreadsheets and the systems. Those are great. We need those, but remembering people and going in at a deeper level and supporting and bringing in all of those unique differences. So again, great information, great. And I love that we got a little science there too. So we got to know some of the trends and things that are coming. So I think that's always important to know so that you have your finger on the pulse as we are looking ahead and planning ahead. With that, I'm very excited to introduce our next guest. I know you're going to love him. He always, Donny, I don't know if you know this, but you always make me smile. You always lift my spirit. And I feel like you're contagious in a great way. In that way. So, yeah, absolutely. So excited to have you joining us and sharing that beautiful energy and great wisdom with our listeners today. So with that, I'm going to introduce Donny. Donny Ingram is a speaker, author, life performance coach, and founder of Ingram Management Group. He has an MBA and has spent the last 30 years working in sales and marketing, as well as training and development for both the government and corporate America. Donny served over 21 years in the U.S. Air Force, and he is passionate about helping you engage for success. Please lean in and warmly welcome the dynamic, positive Donny Ingram to the show. Welcome.
Thank you, Rebecca. Glad to be here.
Excited to have you joining us. And I wanted to start with a couple of things. So what do you mean by engagement, and why is engaging for success? Why is that work important to you?
Well, okay, for the last several years, we've been talking about engaging, and that's engaging ourselves really in what we're passionate about. We have to learn how to turn things on. One of the things that started for me was many years ago when I heard Mac Anderson make the statement that people are like sticks of dynamite. The power's on the inside, but nothing happens until the fuse gets lit. Well, we got to learn how to light our own fuse. And, that if we want to get engaged in what we're doing and engaged in life and engaged in being successful in every area of our life, then we've got to learn how to engage ourselves. We've got to learn how to light that fuse inside of ourselves. We've got to look deep inside.
Beautiful. Thank you for that explanation, that example. And why has this been such an important thing for you? I mean, because I know you do so much to help people turn that on and to light the fuse in so many different ways in their life. Why is that kind of your thing?
Well, it's a performance coach. It was turned on for me by the people that I worked with in my beginning of my career, 45, 46 years ago. That helped me understand that fact, that it's not the difficulty in the journey. You can't look at that. You got to look at the end result. What am I after? And the kids grab that real quick. Us adults, we're given a task. We look at everything else of our resources, my limitations, my abilities. Kids don't do that. They just look at the end result and go for it. And that's what we've got to do in every area of our life. We've got to change. Really, we got to change the way we think. And think about our success. We limit ourselves. We have got to take the limits off. And in doing that, I love to see the light bulb go on when people, see what they really can do, by using, simple tools. tools of communication, or especially self-communication. That self-talk, Rebecca, is powerful, as you know.
Yeah.
You know, you tell yourself enough, you know, you start to believe that, and when you start to believe it, it starts to become a reality in your life.
Beautiful. And that can be used positively or negatively. So paying attention to what we're telling ourselves is important.
Yep.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. So thank you for expanding on that and sharing a little bit about that. And I love that example of, you're right. You know, kids a lot of times are like, hey, great, I want that. Go for it. You're right. They don't measure my resources. Let me see how long they'll last. Can I get there? They just go for it. I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. We can learn from that. So in this season, we've been talking about mindfulness. We've been talking about magic. We've been talking about reflecting, kind of going deeper. How do you choose to find your magic in the season? What are some things that you do to bring that about for yourself?
I think it comes through gratitude. You know, we've got to be grateful for everything that happens. We're as a human race, as Charlotte mentioned, you know, we're raised in a negative world, so we automatically go to the negative things. We automatically pull out the negative, and we've got to retrain our brain not to do that. You know, I love what Dr. David Stoop in his book, Rethink How You Think. We've got to change the way we think. We've got to start looking for the positive. We've got to be grateful for everything that is around us, because when you're grateful for it, you start seeing the good things and everything, because there's something good about everything. It may not be good for me, but it's good for somebody. So I have to identify that. When I do, that initiates the positive thinking process. And, you know, the second question I always ask is, what can I do to make it better? Because that, you know, initiates the creative thinking process, which reinforces the positive thinking process. And you got to do that until it becomes habit. That's how you train yourself to, you know, to think positively.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. I love that. So, you know, being grateful, looking for things to be grateful for. It's good for somebody. But I love this. How can I make it better? Being proactive in the situation. I love that as well. Beautiful, beautiful. And I think we've talked about engagement and kind of engaging ourselves. And I know this is also a season we can reflect on our relationships, our colleagues, our families, our friends, all different kinds of relationships, including that one with ourselves. Can relationships be magical? And if yes, great. How can we make them more magical? If it's not relationships, you know, what is? I just love for your support in that.
I think relationships are the key, and I think there's a magic in all relationships. Even the folks that I interview and coach that we don't see eye to eye on things, I can still have a great conversation, and I can still learn things from them, and I can still pour into their life. So relationships are key in finding the magic, not only in yourself but in other people. We have to be looking for it and expecting that. And I just think relationships are a key to living life and living it full.
Beautiful. Well, I love that, being willing to learn and grow even when you don't see eye to eye, still looking for the magic and the information, the insights there. That's beautiful. And then how can we harness this way we're looking at things and finding magic into purpose and success and meaning in our life and business, and have those weave together in a way that is turning that fuse on for us, that we're fully lit up?
Well, we have to choose, and I mean, everybody has to make a choice. How do you want to live your life? There's some people that just love to live in agony and pain, I think. I mean, they just don't want to get out of it. We've got to make the choice of the life that we want to live, determined today. And a lot of that comes through exactly what am I looking for? So many people don't know what they're doing here. I mean, that's why Rick Warren's book sold so many copies, The Purpose-Driven Life. People want to know, why am I here? You got to find meaning in what you're doing and where you're at. You got to find meaning in your relationships. When you can find meaning, that's where passion comes from. And passion is the fuel we need to get what we want and to live life to its fullest. So we have got to understand better how to engage ourselves in order to do that, to find that meaning. And what if, as we're hearing these words and our listeners are thinking, purpose, or it's just kind of a foreign concept because
we're going through the steps and we do these things at work and we do the same things that we kind of always have done. We haven't really spent time necessarily looking for the meaning or purpose and don't know where to begin. Do you have a suggestion on that?
Well, it begins with a lot of self-talk. You know, I mean, you got to do a self-evaluation. Really, you got to audit yourself, and you know, everybody should do that on a continual basis. Really, ever so often. And, you know, you need to audit what you do, how you do it, audit how you think. You know, think about the ways that you think. You know, when you hang around a lot of folks, you become to think like them, and you can't allow them to affect where you're going to go, because as the old saying is, misery loves company. So you got to separate yourself from that. You got to separate, you know, from the way you think. You got to think where you want to go, not bow down to what other people say. And that's one of the things that we're struggling with today in our society is nobody wants to learn from each other. Nobody, you know, it's my opinion only, and I don't want to see anybody else. Well, we got to change that, and we can only do that by changing the way we think. You know, I like to see organizations' success. And when you get most of your organizations thinking positively, I mean, studies show that attitude is the number one thing that people are looking for, that companies are looking for. I mean, Fortune magazine showed that when they asked the question, it's what causes somebody to get a job and keep a job. 85% was attitude, 15% was education. We have got to learn how to have a positive attitude, and that comes, you know, actually by thinking different. You know, we've got to engage our inner self.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. And as you reflect back on our conversation today and some of the things that we've been bringing forward on the show today, is there something on your heart that you would like to add to the conversation and really share with our listeners today?
Well, I would like for people to you know, in this season that we're in today, I mean, we find this one of the greatest, you know, seasons. Most people are more open to things. They're open-minded. They're more grateful. They're looking to do more for others, and we should carry that on into the new year. Well, you know, that should be our everyday philosophy. So, you know, I would encourage people to, you know, have that attitude going forward for every day of the new year, not just at Christmas time. You know, in doing that, what you're doing is training yourself how to think and how to look at the good in everything and everyone. Beautiful.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. And I love that this isn't just for the season. It's not seasonal. It's a lifestyle. And really choosing to bring it forward in all seasons and having that perspective and carrying it forward on an ongoing basis. So beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. We are getting ready to go to our next commercial break. And as we do, listeners, I want you to reflect on what Donny has shared with us and, you know, maybe start a little bit of that audit and kind of see what you discover. Again, not with judgment or criticism, but awareness. Just kind of check in. And we'll continue our conversation in just a moment.
Voice America is on your favorite smart speaker. If you have Alexa or Google Home, go ahead and give us a try.
Hey Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast on TuneIn.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
You need to live up to your full potential. You've heard that for years, but now there's a channel to help you get there. Introducing the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Our listeners have told us that they want to be motivated, hear about success stories, and positive encouragement around the clock. And we've responded to you. The Voice America Empowerment Channel is the home of the world's top life coaches, entrepreneurs, and success experts. Listen to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. It's here at voiceamericaempowerment.com.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Find out what makes the most successful people tick. Keep listening to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes and that you asked some great questions of yourself and discovered some things. I know I discovered at one point about success. I didn't realize I could actually create my own definition of success. And that changed my life. So one purpose, discovering my purpose and filling into that was pivotal in having clarity, having direction, having that fire in my belly. And then secondly, knowing I could actually feel into what success meant to me. I had been really good at asking people I admired what made them successful. How did they define success? What are the steps? I was really good at executing the steps and the plan for their definition of success. And I would find that I would chase it down only to achieve it, and it didn't feel great. And so then I would go find someone else's definition of success to follow. And I did that for quite a while. I was slow in learning and discovering that, wait a minute, maybe I could decide and figure out what success means to me. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What is exciting for me? What aligns with my purpose? And when I tapped into that and then could build towards that, life became full color. There were so many more things that I could do that would keep that fuse lit, that would inspire me and help me see and appreciate all the differences in everyone around me. So I found that really powerful. And for those of you who are in this season and you are reflecting and you're looking back and you're looking ahead and how can you bring magic and mindfulness into the season, I want to encourage you to take some time and look at purpose, look at success, look at your uniqueness. How are those being woven into what you're bringing forward? And are you expanding the view to see and appreciate other people's definitions of success, their purpose, and their uniqueness? What a rich tapestry that makes when it's woven together. So I was reflecting on our conversation today and had that laid on my heart. I hope that that serves. And for someone out there who hasn't thought about defining success themselves, I found that's changed my life in dramatic, powerful, and positive ways. So I wish that for all of you to be on purpose and living with purpose, and that you're having that magic, that your fuse is turned on, and that you are moving forward those things that matter most. And one of the ways that you can do that as an individual, as part of an organization, as leaders, is remembering you're not in this alone. That there are people, we are coming alongside you to pour into you. And Charlotte and Donny have just shared great information and insights with us today from their vast years of experience. And I encourage you to really take it in. Take a few minutes at the end of the show. And I'm also going to have them share how that you can go deeper with them. Because if they resonated with you, I want you to know how to go deeper, how to pursue that connection to have them walk beside you so that you can move forward in all the areas that you're looking to move forward. So with that, Charlotte, I'd love to start with you. What's the best way for people to connect and go deeper?
Thanks, Rebecca. So I'd suggest you look for my book. So Rebel Success for Leaders, Lead, Grow, and Sell Fearlessly. That's available for you on Amazon. There's lots of good notes in there and some ways that you can, explore your own rebel characteristics within that. And I am primarily on LinkedIn. So if you're looking for me there and you search for Charlotte Allen, Food Innovator, you'll find me. I'd love to connect with you and just sort of learn more about you. My website is always available, and I think you're going to share that at the end. So I would, love to explore any conversation with your listeners. I think that would be really exciting.
Great. And it'll be listed in the description, but I'd love for you to list out the website, too, for those who are just listening today. Be great.
Wonderful. It's Rebel Success for Leaders with an S.com. Mm-hmm. So that's where you can find me.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. And I know you have your book in many formats, so people can choose their favorite format, which is great to be able to have that. And then, Donny, I'd love for you to share the best way for people to connect and go deeper.
The best way for me is my website at DonnyIngram.com. That's Donny with a Y. DonnyIngram.com. You can see all the books on there. A lot of the books have additional books downloads inside them. You can get most of them on Amazon. You can get them right off my website there. But I would love to connect. I am a performance coach. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching virtually as well as in person. So I'd love to connect for people who want to improve their performance in every area of their life. I'd love to connect with them. And, the big thing for me is helping people find change in their life and, find the tools to use in order to improve, both in their relationships and in their profession.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. And I love that you have, secret books within books. So it's like a treasure hunt.
Exactly.
Yeah, how beautiful that is for our listeners today. So you heard it here that is available. And I also am just curious as we reflect back on the show today, Donny, do you have a final thought that you'd love our listeners to take with them as they go back out into the world?
Well, one final thought was, to people to, practice makes perfect. And you didn't get where you're at overnight, and you can't change that overnight. And, of course, there's only two ways to change, and that is by a significant emotional event will change you, or time-lapse repetition and reinforcement. And that means doing something that you need to do in order to get where you want to go and doing it repetitiously until it becomes habit.
Beautiful.
That's what we need to practice.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And Charlotte, I'd love for you to share, too, if you have a final thought, tip, or suggestion for our listeners to take with them as they go back out into the world.
Yeah, Rebecca, mine's going to be similar to Donny's in that I feel as though the more consistent you can be with anything, the more success that you're going to have. So Donny used the word repetition. I'm going to use the word consistency. So how can you, make sure that something gets on your schedule every day? How can you make sure that you're doing something across 1 to 3 months, right? That's really what it takes to make sure that it becomes a habit, a behavior that sticks with you. So being consistent would be what I would recommend that you think about adding one thing that you'd like to try for next year.
Beautiful. I love it. And I'm thinking as you're sharing that, and we don't have to wait till next year. We can start now. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. And I was thinking if we get a jump start on what that thing is, we're already, 3 weeks into that 2 to 3 weeks into that new habit of becoming part of our life. So I love that. Thank you for sharing. And listeners, I want to thank all of you for joining today and leaning in. I hope you've taken some great notes and to heart the information and the insight that has been shared with you. And sometimes it'll be from what Charlotte and Donny and I are saying. Sometimes it's something that's prompted within you because of what was shared and you being open and willing to receive. So I encourage you at the end of today, take a couple minutes before you rush back out into the flow of the day for you and really take a breath, take in some of this information, give yourself time to integrate it, and then look forward at the day and the week ahead with purpose. And be who you are wanting to be, stepping into action on some of these insights that you're receiving today or reminders that you're receiving today, because you are uniquely, beautifully, wonderfully made on purpose for a purpose. And the greatest gift I believe you can give to yourself and you can give to those around you is being willing to share more of you. So find a way to connect with others and share a little bit more of you. Have an amazing week, everyone. I'll look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you for joining us this week for Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. Please tune in again for another edition with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter, next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Empowerment Channel, with a replay on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Variety Channel. Have a beautiful week, and may you always bloom where you're planted and shine.